live, so I'm gonna run it back.
Okay.
I'm gonna run it back for the people.
First date. I don't do that. I was like, I wanna know who you is before anything. And as I'm talking, those shits in the table like
Movies went great. We decided to like go and get food, and we got food, and we sat in my car. We listened to music, we were talking, and
Like 3 weeks. She was on hold though. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie.
and like okay, it got so bad. It was to the point
significant other love language is important, so that way you know how that person receives and perceives.
And you're in a relationship, but we like keeping together. We're in a situationship because we've already established.
This is the situationship
talk, y'all. It's Monday. It's your girl Candy K. Lynn, and this is season 2 of Situationship Talk. I got my guys Last Page with me. Last Page, what's going on?
What's up? What's up, man? Season 2, episode 1. We here, y'all.
Season 2. So just to let the people know, if you're just tuning in, you're like, where is everybody else? Listen, it's a Monday and things happen and not enough time to get additional guests in. So Last Page and I are going to hold it down tonight. We are talking Get Out. To the left, to the left. So we're talking, when is it time to get your ish and leave? Last Page. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew it was time to get out?
Yeah. I was in a 6-year relationship, and it was one of those relationships that should have ended after 6 months or a year. We cool now into this day, but it was one of them things where we wasn't for each other. We was just it was like night and day, but we already had a place together. We had this house and cars, and you know what I'm saying. So we had to keep this little lifestyle up or whatever. But in reality, we knew we wasn't for each other, and we finally called it quits.
So, since you shared your story, how long were you in that relationship before like, how long was it good before it got bad?
It was good for about 3 years, for about 2 or 3 years, and then I know the last 3 years it just we just couldn't seem to find our way. Just kept getting rocky. It get a little better, then it just kept getting rocky. You know what I'm saying? But we were like night and day. It was like mixing milk and gin together. You know what I'm saying?
Not milk and gin, not
Yeah,
milk and gin.
yeah. It was like mixing milk and gin together.
Wow. So, you said it took, so you guys stayed an additional 3 years before you knew. So, from that particular experience, right, what would you leave the people with? What would you say are some good indicators that it was time to go? Like, did you notice anything during that time that
I
said,
mean,
let me get.
there were a lot of pet peeves. I ain't gonna get all the way off into it, but it was a lot of pet peeves and stuff. You know what I mean? And my thing is whenever people come across somebody that's not necessarily for them, if you seeing those red flags, just leave, let it go. It's okay to let it go. You know what I mean? Maybe y'all might be better as friends, but relationship wise, it's not, that ain't always the way to go.
So, I agree, right? So for me, I just think it's about, like, this show, we're about educating people, giving them some tips. One of my tips would be for people is that when you are unhappy and you know you're unhappy and you're projecting an unhappiness in the household, especially when you live together, right? I think that we need to realize that it is okay to move back to your mama's house if that's an option, your daddy's house, your sister's house, your cousin's house. Like, if people love you, they don't want you unhappy and miserable.
Right.
So there shouldn't be so much shame, right? And that was my thing. It was like, oh my God, I've moved out. How can I go back home? Like, I don't want to go back to my mom's house and we build this life and we're getting married and do we get married? But things like I just kept there just kept being turbulence. And I think in relationships there's going to be turbulence. Don't
Right.
misunderstand me when I say that. But there were just some factors like I really am starting to hate you. Like you really, really pushed me. Like all of my triggers were being pushed. You know, everything about myself that I didn't even know existed bad
Yeah.
was being displayed.
And
Like, go ahead.
I was going to say, sometimes it could be the smallest thing that trigger you, the way they sleep. They could be a bad sleeper. You probably don't, you done messed around, you done picked up this regimen now, this little routine where you got to go to sleep before them because they sleep so damn bad. It's just little stuff like that. They feet might stink. You know what I mean?
Not they feet stink. Not they
Yeah,
feet stink.
they
I was
might
sleeping
have
in a
bad
whole nother
stinking
room.
feet.
Yeah, I was sleeping in
I
a whole nother
I went
room.
through that too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like sleeping in the guest room. Like I would get home really late because I worked until like 2:45 in the morning at that time. And so when I came home, I would just literally go in the other room and close the door. I didn't care. I made sure that I was at work. When I wasn't at work, I was elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it was just because at that point, it's like you put all this time into a situation, you don't know what to do. Like, why am I like, you need to leave,
Right.
but you don't. My other tip would be kids, right? One of my things was that I was not dating anybody else with kids because I feel like kids also help keep you there. Like when there's a child involved and you've taken on this kid as your own and you're raising this kid and you're going to school conferences and activities, it's like I'm not breaking up with one person, I'm breaking up with two people. And
Well,
for me that was like difficult.
you know what? I got something to say about that. I know a couple people that's in those situationships where they in a relationship with somebody, but they only together for the sake of the kids. I ain't gonna say no names, but they only together for the sake of the kids. They not happy. You know what I mean? They complain about them. They just irritated with them every time they get into arguments and stuff. And I know a couple couples out there that's doing that. Oh, but the kids. I'm thinking about the kids. No, first of all, you could get your own goddamn place and you can still come and you can be in your kids' life. They could come over to your house. You ain't got to live under the same household or roof as that person or whatever. You're gonna be miserable. So what you just gonna deal with this person until your kid turn 18 or 21 or however age they turn. I don't know. It's just crazy to me. If you're not happy, let it go. That it shouldn't tarnish the relationship that you have with your kids. They're gonna have a time getting used to you not being in the household, but through time they'll eventually understand.
Do you think, and I think that plays a very large role in decisions that people make to stay in relationships, being that especially people who came from broken homes, right? I've met people that have made those same comments that you're saying. They've made those comments that they're staying for the kids, right? They want these environments to exist because they've never had them. So
Right.
I feel like a lot of people stay, and you got to my point. A lot of people stay for the sake of the kids because they want to present an image. They want to give their kids something they never had. But exactly what she says, I don't think that adults realize that you're making your kids miserable and you're not projecting healthy relationships to them anyway. So yeah, your
Yeah.
parents were married, or yeah, your parents live together. But if you're 16 and your parents aren't married, is that really healthy?
And
Like,
then
what is that really teaching the kids?
and
And
then
then they
you
hate each other.
And then you got a lot of parents that get into arguments in front of their kids and stuff now. Like I know back in the day, parents back in the day, you didn't even know they was getting into it, or even if they was, you didn't even know they was mad at each other. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But it was like it was a piece of protecting your kids and finding a way to be adults, right?
Right.
Behind closed doors. So I've been told that it was unreal because my parents, when we were kids, my parents didn't argue in front of us. Now adults, you know, once there's a breakup, co-parenting is a new, relatively new concept, I think, in our community of Black people,
Yeah.
that we're learning how to co-parent. We're learning how to, as you said, move out into your own space. It's okay. Pay child support for either parent because remember, women have to pay child support too. Some of
Right.
them don't do what they're supposed to do. And it's okay for your kids to spend holidays in two different places.
Right.
Because if that's what creates a healthy environment for them, don't you want what's healthy for the kids? So I think in relationships we need to stop using that as a excuse to stay because we're scared to leave.
Or stop using your kids as a pawn when that person want to leave.
Right. And I think people should I personally think that leaving is a sign of strength. I think we view it as failure. I know I have in the past. Like, you view it as failure. You view it as I couldn't hold this relationship together. But I really think it's a sign of strength when you know this is not healthy for me. I'm making somebody else unhappy. Right? I
Yeah.
don't think we look at that side of the situation too. We look at what's pissing us off. But usually if we're pissed off, that other person feels probably similar.
Yeah.
And they're
But
not
see,
saying it.
but see, when I left, I was hurt, but I was liberated at the same time. You know what I mean? Like I was more liberated than hurt, to be honest.
Wow. You
Like
were liberated.
I was liberated.
I was miserable for like a year. Like I literally contemplated. I was I went through depression. But it was for me in that situation. I felt like it was life or death. Like it was you stay here. Somebody is going to jail. You leave. You move on with your life because I wasn't growing. You know what I'm saying? I feel
Yeah.
and I know people we don't understand it. 10 years ago, I knew nothing about toxic relationships. I knew nothing about codependency. Like to equate that to your relationships or even at times with what domestic violence is. I think that there's just these conversations are so very necessary because women stay for a variety of reasons. You know, financially, what tip for
Yep.
women? Do not get yourself financially bound to someone where you can't leave. It sounds good to look at the Instagram models and be like, oh, he taking care of me. He flew me out. That's my new thing, right?
But
Because they always
you
be
gonna
like, he
feel
flew me out.
stupid when you invest in your life in another life that's not yours. You're living somebody else's life. That's not your life. You know what I mean? And it just baffled me how a lot of these chicks they be trying to set some of them rich dudes up and intentionally have kids by them like that one chick. What was her name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. She has the baby with the basketball player.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. How she set
Brittany
that up?
Griner, I think it is.
Yeah, some shit like that. But she was foul for that. And there's a lot of women out there that do that. They not finna intentionally say it like she did, but there's a lot of women out there that do that.
But what about your karma, right? So when we talk about these get out situations and the karma that comes behind, like I think we also have to look at how we get into relationships. We have to look at why we got into relationships. So when karma comes back around to us full circle, I think sometimes we need to stop acting like we're a victim. And that's why I was like, that's why this conversation of get out, like sometimes you have to pack your ish and leave.
And leave.
And leave. And that's for men. Like I think maybe this conversation needs to be more directed at men because I think sometimes men feel obligated to stay.
To stay.
I do feel like a lot of men feel like they can't leave. I've heard men say they're going to use my kid against me. I've heard men, I don't want to pay child support every month. And I'm like,
You got
sometimes it's worth it.
you got men that intentionally don't want to work, or they get jobs where they get a 1099 form and they ain't got to worry about they ain't got to worry about paying no child support and shit. They want to get them jobs paying under the table, or they be your local dope dealer and shit.
I mean, but that hurts the kids. You know what I'm
It
saying?
does.
If you wanna leave, I think that we got to be reasonable about what's going to happen, right? When we get in these situations. And
Right.
another tip, be prepared to separate your ish and take some losses when you live together. Like if you don't want to take some losses, don't live together. That's my other tip for people. I feel like we feel more bound to that person when we live with them versus when we don't live with people.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get up and leave a relationship where we don't live together, where I'm just pulling up over your house for 4 years. Like, you ain't married me, we in year 4, I don't live with you. It's easier to leave than we're in year 4. We got a house together with both of our names on the mortgage in the deed, and we got joint bank accounts, cars in each other's name. What is your solution
What's
for
a
that?
what's this what I want to know. Okay. Well, no. Well, you know what? To answer your question, okay. So I know somebody that's like that too. You know what I'm saying? She date he a big time, dope boy or whatever the case. You know what I'm saying? And they got this house, keep getting all these houses, keep getting all these different cars. As soon as they get a 2021, they see another 2021 they want to get. They finna go on to trade that in and get another one. But I'm like, you invest in all of this and he ain't putting no ring on your finger. Why are y'all putting so much money into a house? And then the way she explained it to me, she was bragging about it like it was okay. I've been a side bitch, I've been the main chick, I've been all of that. It's my time now. Oh,
Is it?
okay. Is it really your time? Is it really?
I would just say to sis, like, when it's time to leave, right? Because we grow either together or we grow apart. That's the two ways that we grow as adults, right?
Right.
Doesn't money matter how much money we sink into a house. Doesn't matter how many times we put our name on that mortgage. I worked in finance for 10 years. People break up all the time, and the car is a struggle. It's a fight because he took care of you, sis, when y'all was married. He not necessarily gonna take care of you when you divorce. So I would advise women to get things that they can afford. And like I go back to, be prepared when you live with people to take some losses if you break up.
Yeah, and have some money on the side or something. You just have some money for a rainy day. You know what I mean? You just never know. You might just want to pack your shit up and look for an apartment. You probably want to look for an apartment first, have enough money to put that deposit down for an apartment, pack your shit up and go. You just never
She said,
know.
my sister says nobody's leaving once both names go on that mortgage.
Yeah, when both names go, yeah, that's true. They
I
sleeping
mean,
in separate bedrooms for sure though.
but at what point do you cut your losses? Right? And that's my thing. At what point, even with the mortgage, do you say, we gonna sell this house? Or you gonna get my name off this house? we we gonna sign, we'll get this divorce finalized, we're gonna split these assets up. Let me give you the house. Like, I feel like people need to be honest with themselves. Can you
We
afford the
we
mortgage?
we splitting the house down the middle. I'm not giving
Right,
up
we're gonna
shit.
sell it.
We finna sell that house.
We're gonna sell it, and we're going to pay the mortgage company off, and whatever is remaining, we pocket.
Right.
That's just my thing. Like, I'm not attached to, like I said, I've walked away. I walked away. Like, I literally moved out the next day. I've done it twice. Like, when it's time to go, I have
It's
just
it's time to
it's
go.
time to go. Like, there's nothing to talk about. I've left stuff. Things have gotten, like I said, when you're moving, you get what you can get.
Right.
And, like, I got a text message, and okay, this is what it is. I contacted him. I said, "What's up?" He played stupid. When you playing stupid, I knew that there was only two things that could happen at that point, right?
Right.
If I ran into you, it was going to be a back and forth that I didn't want to have.
Right.
I didn't even want to have a conversation at that point because I knew what was being told to me was the truth. And honestly, I just didn't care that much at that point. Right? That's how you know it's time to go. Like, when people can tell you, oh, so-and-so is cheating on you, you'd be like, oh, okay, are you cheating? And they don't respond. You'd be like, okay. I literally went to the house when I got out of work. I packed all of my stuff. He pulled up when I was packing my things. I put whatever else I could put in my car, and I left. And the conversation that we had was literally through text message. And I was like, I don't want to talk about it. It's nothing else to talk about at this point.
See, man, she packed up her shit before I made it home from work. So by the time I made it home from work, she was already gone. And then I leave and go to work the next day, and I can look and tell she done came back to get the rest of her shit. But she did it at the times I was at work where we couldn't have no actual, interaction with each other. Couldn't find out she ended up living with some dude and shit. And the nigga
So,
and the nigga was controlling. No, how I found out. Because at this point, we on friend terms, but I still love her. It's still fresh, right? So I'm helping her get the big shit out because we had a 3-bedroom house, so every room in that house was fully furnished. It was enough furniture in there for us to split it and fully furnish an apartment of our own. You know what I'm saying? So once we did that, I had helped her put everything in storage and stuff, and like 15 minutes later, it was like 15, 20 minutes later, I get a text talking about, baby, I'm outside. I was like, baby, I was like, you ain't outside of this house. So what baby you talking about? Oh yeah, my feelings was hurt. That pissed me off because I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you was on. But I was on the same shit. So
but okay, so then why was and that's my thing, right? Signs that it's time to go. We all on the same shit. Like, we all are in a space of we ain't doing nothing that's right. And that's where I was. Like, right, let's not be a hypocrite in this situation.
Right.
So that's how I move. And I feel like there's no need to have a conversation about what's already understood. Like, in that particular relationship, I was already past. Like, due to the previous one, and I took like a year in between dating where I just worked on myself. So I was like not looking for a relationship when I got into that one, and we were like in year 3, and like all of this stuff started happening, but I was on BS too. So when I asked you about it, you know what I'm saying, and you said no, it was just kind of like that was my easy exit point because at this point we're going back and forth in a circle. We don't even like each other at this point. We don't even know why we staying together. We ain't got no kids. I was at your house. I didn't even move all of my stuff into your house to begin with because I left stuff at my mama's house from my previous experience because, like I said, I wasn't going to take no more financial losses. Yeah. So I was only halfway living there anyway. And I would go stay at my mom's house for like 4 days at a time. So at that point, it was just like, what are we talking about? And like in that relationship, I didn't even argue with this dude. Like, I would get mad. I'd be like, you know what? Bet. And I would just leave. So when it got time to break up, I just feel like people should be like, you doing what you want to do. I'm doing what I want to do at this point. We just don't need to be together no more. And that was like, for me at that point, I felt like I was looking back. It was like cowardly.
Right.
Because I probably should have exited long before I did.
Long before. Right.
Yeah. Long before.
And a part of us, we get this sense of fear. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if I make a move and I end up being out here fucked up? You know what I'm saying? We think like that. So, I don't blame. It's normal. I'm sure everybody, felt that way, having a sense of fear when you're in a long-term relationship with somebody and like, well, damn, what I'm gonna do, after I break up with this person, you're gonna be straight because you always bounce back. But it's like, when you're so used to somebody and so accustomed to doing things with that person and stuff, it be kind of a little hard, be a little difficult to bounce back from that.
Cause you know you gotta be by yourself, right? Like,
Yeah.
dang, I don't got nobody. But then you think about it, you're like, we really wasn't doing nothing on Friday nights anyway. Like,
Right.
you know,
I
we
come in
really
and say,
wasn't.
hey, and you ain't said shit to me in
Yeah,
the
you know,
whole
like
goddamn.
he would come home and like play on his phone until 2 o'clock in the morning. We wasn't even
Oh
really
no.
like we was like in the bed. We wasn't even really in the bed together no more. So it was like when I got to that understanding, it was just kind of like, you know, for me, I would just tell people who were going through it, be realistic about where you are in the situation, right?
Right. Right.
Stop wasting your time. Stop wasting the other person's time. And a lot of times we say, and what's comfortable, as you said, we don't like to disrupt our comfort. And when you are willing to disrupt your comfort, you're king. Like my makeup artist told me the other day, she said she told her now husband that he needed to leave her alone and get out of her way so that her future husband can see her. And I told
Ooh.
her, shout out to my
Ooh.
makeup artist. I told her I was going to use that quote because as people, male, female, you know, whether we're dating a male or we're dating a female or whatever our situationship is,
Yeah.
we need to understand that we block our blessings because we're always looking at what's looking past us. We're
Right.
always, sometimes we're with the people that they're not even checking for us anymore. And we're too terrified to start over.
Yeah, that's true. That's so
Just
true.
start over. And that's
But
one of
I'm
my
like,
tips. Start over.
yeah, just start over. It's okay to start over. You know how many times I done start over. I done started over. That's with a place, relationship, all of that.
Jobs.
Jobs,
Jobs.
yeah,
Jobs.
especially
We do it in
jobs.
jobs. But
Yeah,
see, I think it's our mentality, right? And I'm really big on. That's why we've talked about on this show. If this is your first time joining Situationship, we thank you for tuning in.
yeah.
We
Thank
talk
y'all.
about counseling on here. You need to go. Like, and I'm going to keep saying this because this is about, the show is called Situationship Talk.
Yeah,
So a lot of the situations in our life that become situationships, they're not only in intimate relationships, right? They're in our jobs.
yeah,
You stay on these jobs too long.
yeah.
You stay in family structures that are dysfunctional too long because that's your family, because you love them. How
Yeah,
many
oh,
times
that's
have
my
somebody,
family. Oh, but you complaining about it. You stressing yourself out about it. You know what I'm saying? You mad because you got to go do a favor for a family member. You ain't got to do shit. You're not obligated to doing nothing for nobody but yourself. You know, people they stress their own self out with other people's problems. You know?
that's the truth. But how do we get our mindset to that, right? We've never, in family, we're taught that's your family, that's your
Yeah.
mama, that's your
Right.
cousin, that's your brother, that's your grandma, that's your
Right.
auntie, whatever. And here we are, right? Because I know people are going to watch and be like, who they think they are. Listen, I am me. I'm Candy K. Lynn, and I don't owe anybody shit, period. I'm going to
Shit.
do what makes me happy. I'm going to do what makes me happy. I'm going to do what feeds my spirit in a relationship, in a partnership, in a friendship, in a sistership, a mothership, a brothership, because they're all ships. Understand where I'm going with this entire show. That job ship, I have no loyalty to the job because the job has no loyalty to you. So when you say you're stressed or you're tired, look at your options and be okay with walking away.
Yeah.
Because they're going to replace you. They're going to fire you tomorrow and you ain't even see it coming. So if you're having that inkling in your heart about that job, like you do about that man, like you do about your best friend, like you do about your cousin, like I just think it's time to get out of anything that does not does not fulfill your purpose here in life.
Yeah. I totally agree. What she said?
It's me. I totally stress myself out with my families, my siblings more so. Listen, Tracy, listen, girl, get out.
Get out.
Okay?
Get the
Get out.
hell out.
Set boundaries, right? So this is a throwback. We talked about this. What do we do in relationships? Again, do not think about situationship talk as just intimate relationships.
Right.
Intimate relationships are family. Like your siblingships, you have to set boundaries with your siblings. And sometimes you have to get out of those toxic relationships too. Sometimes you need to talk to your siblings once every 6 months until they can get their stuff together.
Or the ones that always call you every time they need something. Let it go. Let that shit go. Every time they call you, they need something. They can't never call to see how you doing. Or you got them one friends that you're being supportive of everything that they do. Always seem to reciprocate or just be a no show. Let that shit go. They not
Let it
your
go.
friend.
And LaCandace, you and I, we don't always agree on everything, but to me, I can let it all go. You cannot. Sometimes we spend too much time and we waste too much time and give people too much energy for things that we're never gonna fix.
Yeah.
We're never gonna fix some of
Yeah.
these relationships that we're in. We're never gonna get things fixed at that job. You have to go sometimes places that make you happy and serve you.
And
That's
there
my
are
take on
some
that.
things that just needs to be tended to professionally. You know what I'm saying? You can't fix everybody. You know what
You
I
can't.
mean? You could change somebody's world by doing a nice deed, but you can't you can't you can't fix everybody.
You can't. And I agree. In most situations, it is easy to leave. It is harder than you think. It is. And it's easier to talk about it than to do it. But I think if we get ourselves in a mindset of learning how to just say, I can't. I don't have anything left to give. I've done all that I can do because everybody has to everybody has to want to be in these relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest tip, and that's what I leave you with as we wrap up the show. We set, but once I set boundaries with you, and those boundaries are being crossed, you're giving me a reason to leave. Because once boundaries get crossed, then we start triggering people, right? And
Right.
in professional settings, I can't be unprofessional. I can't be unprofessional. No matter how frustrated I get, I have to maintain a level of professionalism.
And you
In
know what?
family, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I was talking to a friend today, they was complaining about their job and stuff, and the way that they was talking to a customer on the phone, just real rude and everything. And I'm like, at the end of the day, you still have to keep that professionalism turned on whether you like it or not. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is your money. So you talking to these people any old kind of way with an attitude, you already irritated and don't like your job, don't show it. You know what I mean? Look for something else in the meantime while you still got that job. But a lot of people they will quit first before they get the job. But
Right. And we're not saying
you know,
quit before you figure it out and work it out. I'm just saying with people sometimes in relationships that do not serve you, I think that there is no reason for a woman or man to stay in any type of situation where they're being physically or mentally abused.
yeah.
You can say it's harder. It is harder to stay and to take years of being mistreated and use years of your life versus getting your things and calling for help.
And
You know when
sadly,
enough.
And sadly, mental abuse is a lot worse than physical abuse, sadly.
And it happens on both sides. And that's why I said men and women. Women do it to men do it to women do it to women, men do it to men. Like I
Yeah.
think I covered the entire spectrum of it is okay to know when your time is up in a situation. Just like I know our time is up for the night. Y'all, this has been another episode of Situationship Talk. This is your girl Candy K. Lynn.
Your boy last page.
Guys, and until next Monday,
All right,
we're
y'all.
out. Good
Peace.
night.